Good afternoon, fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in Season 4, Episode 39. And Poquoson fans, here we are honored here to have the head baseball coach of Poquoson High School, Craig Zimmerman. Coach Zimmerman, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, sir? Appreciate you having me on here.
Sure, no problem. Appreciate your time, and let's start at the beginning. I know you went to TAB, so definitely being familiar there with the area. How was it? Now, were you baseball wrestled, and when you grew up, and then be part of TAB High School?
Right. I graduated in '92 out of TAB. Played for Doug Baggett over there. Wrestled for Coach Roper. Man, I respect a lot. My buddies taught me into playing football my senior year, and had a shoulder operation that season. And thank God I was able to get back to the wrestling and the baseball diamond, my senior year.
Right.
But I played baseball in the summer. That's when Legion was big in Poquoson. So, I always had a good relationship between the Poquoson players and myself, so.
Right. And, and then the thing is, TAB, definitely there with Terry Kirby, but when did you get involved here with coaching Poquoson baseball?
I'll be honest with you, Rags. I was playing adult softball in York County. Right. I was coached my daughter's T-ball team, I think, one year. Right. But in 2008, my wife's pregnant with our second child. Yeah. And I'm sitting on my recliner one afternoon. I get a phone call from Sean Pickford, who I played baseball with at TAB. Okay. And he went on to play at Louisville. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Hey, Z," he said, how about coming to help me coach Poquoson JV baseball team? I said, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I said, man, I ain't been around that. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I said, I gotta change my lifestyle if I'm going to be around these kids, So, yeah. And so I started in 2008 with Sean Pickford. He was the head JV coach, and then underneath Kenny Bennett.
Right.
And I did that with him for 5 years. And then Sean moved on with his daughters because they were, just softball, studs in this area. Right. And spend more time with them in their travel and, their preparation for high school. And then I took over to JV probably around 2013.
Okay.
So I was underneath Kenny Bennett as his, head JV baseball coach. And then, end of last season, coach told me he had another possibility to move, take another position in, for his employment.
Right.
And that opened up the spot for the head varsity coach at Poquoson.
Okay. Yeah. And, there in 09 and 10, I know before I started, we started taping, talked about growing up on the South Side, but,
right.
Definitely here with following high school baseball, definitely had heard about the success that Poquoson has had. And, definitely there in 09 and 10 when, the Pender brothers were coming through and Kyle Crockett.
Right. Unbelievable years. And, we talked about those years for a long time. It was by God's grace that we were surrounded by great kids back then, just kids that came to practice every day and just grinded. And it was a kind of a different breed back then, right. And we all say that, everything's different now, but it was a special group of kids. And I was fortunate to witness Chad Pender. I had Chase Pender. I watched Kyle Crockett, Adam Posey, now he's at Eastern Mennonite University as a coach. Just some excellent, just surrounded by great people throughout the years.
Right. And I had the previous coach on last year, with Nolan Rowland and reaching out here to Coach Bennett. So definitely here last year, you guys had a great season and, hopped on, I guess, from where you guys live, hop on 64 to 81. Being on the south side, I like the 460 west ride to Roanoke. But I know that the baseball season for Poquoson last year was a good one. A little disappointing there at the end, but what was the outlook coming in on this year with your first season of being the head coach of varsity baseball?
Rags, I'll be honest with you. We lost one kid from last year's team to this year's team. One starter. Lost a couple seniors, but we lost one starter.
Right.
So I knew, whoever is going to take over this program is going to be blessed.
Right.
And I said that in my interview at the school. I never been interviewed in my life until I had to go interview for this head coaching job. Never had been in an interview in my life. And so it was a process. It was very fortunate that we had a solid core coming back.
Right.
And I always remember February 19th. The first day of spring sports. And I told my kids, I told them two things. I said, humble yourself.
Right.
Because I knew we were good.
Right.
And I said, and I want you to compete every day. That was my first two things I mentioned to them on day one on February 19th. And so a good group of kids, great group of kids.
Yeah, well, you say February 19th first, I know with, definitely paying attention to Roland's program and, Western Branch, Grassfield, Greenbrier Christian here on this side, you might have an official day of spring sports.
Right.
But with the fall season and the winter workouts, when that first day of official practice comes, now all the off-season workout is ready to be put in play.
And a lot of people don't see that on the outside, but we start the weight room, 2 to 3 days a week in September.
Right.
And then we usually hit, till it gets cooler, we hit on the field 1 day a week. So this has become like a 9 months, a year thing now. And it's just it is a lot behind the scenes that go on, that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah, and so you grew up at Tab. You're, getting into coaching there in 08 JV Poquoson, so you're definitely familiar with the area of high school athletics. Well, here it is. I've noticed here the Bay Rivers, definitely in baseball. I pay attention to basketball and football, but they're in baseball. You guys are made up of different groups when it comes to regionals in the regular season.
Right.
But that conference is a tight conference. And you talk about telling your team to humble yourselves. It's a lot of close games, but in the first 10 games, you guys were 5-5.
I know. I look back and, I look at my season record this year. I'm thinking, we were 17-8. How did we win, go to a state championship? But, I remember, I think our biggest turning point, Rags, was, I'll never forget it because it was my 25th wedding anniversary. I'm at Jamestown. We got our butt spanked 6-0 at Jamestown. And that was April 24th. And then I look back at all my stats and stuff, and I read that, ever since then, we only had 3 losses since April 24th. And all those losses were 1-run losses.
Right.
And then I tell people all the time, they're like, it's amazing how Poquoson always excels in the postseason.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, Rags. We played Bay Rivers district competition. And for Class 2, what we are, and then we have 3s and 4s.
Right.
All that does is prep us for the postseason. It's been like that for years.
Right.
Bay Rivers district is strong baseball. And I know the South Side's got their horses down there. Don't get me wrong. We've been blessed. We played Western Branch last year, Cox last year. I've already gotten a call with Ittner to play Cox next year.
Okay.
But yeah, Bay Rivers district, you got 2 state champions over here within 8 miles, 10 miles apart, being York High School. So
Yeah, and and last year, while Poquoson was on their run, I mean Smithfield,
Smithfield.
ended up getting hot at the right time, and
Yep.
some upsets happened in their side of the
Yep.
bracket.
Yep.
So they just kept working hard, and
Yep.
they ended up making a state appearance.
Right. No, Smithfield was solid last year. So, and don't forget New Kent. They
Right.
had a something fluked happen there in their regional tournament, but they were the most impressive team that I think I've seen in Bay Rivers in a long time. They were just solid 1 through 9, defensively, pitching, everything. They're well coached. But we got Tab next door to us. You got Smithfield, Jamestown, Lafayette. Just teams not as big as the 5s and 6s on your side of the water, but teams that just have a great history every year in the postseason.
Right. And for the listeners that are out there, the regular season you play district play, and then similar to private school, when the postseason comes,
Mm-hmm.
you guys get grouped on what class you're in, and that's based on enrollment, right?
Right. Correct.
So and the thing is the old saying of it's not how you start, but how you
Thank
finish.
goodness.
I mean, the first game for the regional quarters and the state quarters, you guys start with 10-run rule games. Regionals, the semis 4-3 that qualifies you for the state. But boy, those state semifinals and final game there at the Kiwanis Field, boy,
Yes.
2-1 both days. Not only a pitcher's duel, but definitely a tight game there for the semifinal and the
Right.
final.
Right. Yeah, we started regional quarters at home with Arcadia. We 10 run them. And then we the semis, like you just said, we had to go to the Eastern Shore and go face Nandua at third place.
Oh, you
And
guys had to go on the road.
and
Okay.
we had a little history with Nandua at Nandua back in 19 when we thought we had a pretty good program, and they cleaned our clock then. So we had a little bit of a little grudge going on from 19, and then we win that game thankfully and make it to the regional finals against King William and Eli Tyndall. We'll probably talk about him. He pitched a true no hitter in the finals. And we won 4-0, and that game, that helps home field advantage or whatever for the state quarters, which you want to play at home for your state quarters, and get that home team. But yes, when we got to state, Riverheads was our first competition. We 10-run them in the quarters, and then we had to stand. I mean, to then we get on the road to Salem, and 2-1 ball game. And, it was something to be in. It really was. It was a great experience. A lot of people I'm not scared to share my stats.
Right.
We had a team batting average of 262 this year.
Wow.
But our pitching
Right.
was a 1.91. And I got a good buddy whose son just graduated on our team, Doug Green, and he would text me all the time and said, Z, pitching wins championships. Wins championships. And sure enough, we were blessed to have some incredible pitching outings. And that goes to a testament of my coaching staff. I picked up Jimmy Green, and he was a 2003 graduate from Poquoson and went on to play ODU and other places. And I brought him on to be my pitching coach. I was a catcher in high school. I don't know how to teach pitching, And then I got Mike Tyndall, who's just the guru of baseball. And then I got Ronnie Bradshaw, who's my right hand man, who always even keels me. We're like good cop, bad cop. So when I step out, I reach over to Ronnie, and Ronnie tells, "Hey, you just do what you do." And so like I tell my kids at home, Rags, I tell my players and everybody, I say, surround yourself with good people in anything you do, work, social life, school, whatever. Surround yourself with good people. And that's what happened this year. I was truly blessed.
You know, and you talk about it, and you know, I mean, I couldn't hit. So when I was in high school, you know, I just started, you know, full time doing stats, and
Right.
especially with my brother playing for Stanko, and then playing for
Right.
William and Mary. You know, but the thing is, and I know that there's a lot more data analysis out there nowadays, especially with technology. But
Right.
just the basics. I mean, you bring up your team batting average, but then okay, let's look at Poquoson's team ERA. Let's look at Poquoson's fielding. You know,
Right.
because it's nothing like, you know, instead of free passes, you know, it's talked about no free 90s. You know,
Right.
and then you know, errors. You know, brings extra
Yeah.
pitches to your pitcher, and you know, and just gives a lot more opportunities there to
Yeah.
your opponent. And
Yeah.
those 2-1 games, I mean, I've Elizabeth and I, we've had friends that their son has been part of Roanoke College, so we've been to Kiwanis Field.
Mm-hmm.
Layout of that stadium,
Beautiful.
for both of them to be pitchers duels. Wow, what a exciting time there to be on the right end of one-run ball games.
Yeah, I look at my stats. You know, I look back at them, and I just, you know, sometimes I'm like, wow. You know, but you know, we had some good things. We had a high fielding percentage, which helped the pitching. You know, our pitchers, my number one and number two, Tyndall and Fritz, they only allowed 26 walks all season. You know, and that's over 120 something innings.
Right.
You know? So they did their job, and our defense did their job. You know, and we did just enough offensively to win. You
Right.
know, and at the end of the day, nobody's going to remember how you got there. It's going to be how you finished. You know, and we're on the right side of it by God's grace. You know, so.
Yeah. And the other thing is when you go to a neutral site and you go out of town. I mean, some of these players might not play college ball,
Right.
but you know, just to have the team camaraderie, you know, and you know, even with staying that semifinal night. I know that the final was a early and a quick turnaround, but
Right.
just to, you know, surround yourself there with
Yep.
team,
Yep.
and you know, go kind of on a team trip.
Yep. And you know, and like I told you, I was with Kenny Bennett for 16 years, and you know, postseason was always a special time. You know, back then you got charters, you know, you practice at different facilities. It's changed a little bit now, you know, because of budgets and whatever. But it's what we always look forward to, especially with us. You know, like I said, we've been fortunate. I've been to state 9 times in 17 years, and you know, and that's Kenny Bennett. You know, Kenny Bennett was my mentor in this, and he always made things special. We always went and practice at a nice facility before, you know, we got to Salem, you know, go to Miller School or wherever, and you know, it's those bus rides, and those kids remember that stuff for the rest of their life, you know. But yeah, going back to the state semis, you know, like you said, Kiwanis Field, it's a beautiful ballpark. You know, it is. I love it reminds me of War Memorial. It's old school. It's beautiful. You know, we get there and we get in a game with Dan River, which, you know, a little history with Dan River. That's where Kenny Bennett went to school. So, and then Kenny Bennett left, you know, Poquoson. And in the first year, we meet Dan River in the state semis. And, you know, it was a 1-1 ball game, you know, until the 6th inning. And then first pitch of the bottom of the 6th, Eli Tyndall puts one out right field.
Wow.
You know, and then, you know, we shut it down in the 7th, and we're in the state finals, you know. And I'll tell you another thing, Rags, you know, you know, a lot of people say, you know, you nerve, you stress, you know, that the semifinals, yeah, you know, you got a lot of anticipation. You wanted your kids to win because we wanted to graduate on the field. That's a special.
Okay.
We always try to graduate our seniors on the baseball diamond. Right. And I've been a part of a couple of those graduations. And this year we were fortunate to graduate our kids, our seniors, on the baseball field after the semifinal game.
Right.
And so then going into the finals, that night, and I'm one of those guys who will go to bed thinking about stuff, and my sleep will be terrible. And Rags, I'll be honest with you, and I'm a very devout Christian guy, and it was by God's grace, and I was at peace,
right,
going into Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. I was thinking, God, I was like, we're here. These kids are going to remember this the rest of their lives, win or lose.
Right.
It was just a special time, and I'll always remember this group. Obviously, first year, state championship, you can't get no better than that. So
and have a game on your 25th wedding anniversary.
Yeah. So I still got to make up that trip.
Right. But, so what is, I know that we appreciate one of your staff members, getting us into contact and shared some text messages while I was out of town. But, just the accolades from the community there of, even though the season is over, just, the Peninsula Sports Club and other community areas that are still recognizing, what the team did this year.
Oh, yeah. When you talk about our social media and our broadcasting of our program, that's all Zach Baker. Like I said, he was a assistant with me for 5 years, and then he went to another school district to become a teacher there. And so he always wanted to be a part of our program, and which I welcome Zach, and I've, built a real brother relationship with him. And, he's done our social media, and it's just amazing. And I look at my wife's account, but but what he does is amazing, and it gets it out there. I got family all across the United States, and my mom's in Denver, and she can follow along with what's going on with us baseball because of what Zach Baker does. He's not getting paid to do it. Nobody hardly gets paid anything in this field. Right. And just for him to have the dedication, and like I said, I've been blessed to have some great people around me the last 17 years, but definitely this year.
Right. So. Yeah. And the thing is, like other head coaches that I've had on, they talk about their staff. They talk about the players. They talk about the parents. And it just talks about where successful programs, they definitely have a good support team. I got,
like I said, my Bradshaw, Tyndall, and Green, my assistant coaches. I got a heck of a JV pro, Justin Hollingsworth, who now heads up the JV program, which is an important piece of this. I don't look at it as two teams. I look at it as one program. From the team mom who makes sure the concession stands or we got food to travel with. And then, like I said, I mentioned him earlier, Doug Green, he's in our press box doing the scoreboard, and he's another coach. He was a part of the coaching staff back in 8, 9, and 10. And,
nice.
So like I said, it's a group of people, and this state championship is shared by so many people. I've had people come up to me in restaurants, saying how happy they were because they were an alumni of Poquoson back in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
It's just a small community, and we have a rich history, real rich history, and the support is unbelievable, in this town.
Right. So let's see. So are you able to? I know. Now here we're at the middle of July, but are you able here to take some downtime, give everybody a break? I'm sure the kids are playing their summer ball or showcase, but you and the coaching staff just kind of take a break before the fall workouts.
Yeah. And
start.
with our program too, Rose, is we're a small school, so many of our kids, they're already getting ready for golf or football. We don't have those class 5 and 6s where they can have 14 kids that just concentrate on baseball. And I'm not a big believer. I can't stand one sport athletes.
Right.
I love wrestlers. I love football players. It just brings it's a different drive on the field for them. And it was very fortunate.
Right. Well, hey, Craig, I appreciate you coming on. And then, like I said, when I promoted this episode here on Facebook, I mean, I've been at the shipyard for 27 years, and one of my shipyard mentors, Bobby, there is your wife's uncle. So, definitely here, Peninsula, Southside, Shipyard baseball. Definitely here a small community here in the 757.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, I've been blessed with great, not just baseball, but a family support system. Like that we're talking about, like Bobby, and he's he was a great athlete back in his day, and and his brothers. So, which is my father-in-law. So, very blessed.
Yes, well, Craig, and we talked about technology, but definitely here with Game Changer. It's you talk about something that people on the West Coast, I mean, they can just actually, I guess anywhere in the world that you can download the app and follow, the program.
Yeah, right. My daughter, Devin, who she does all our Game Changer stuff for us, because it's required by VHSL.
Right.
So she's in the dugout with me. I've been blessed to have 2 daughters that have been, the team managers, and so I had my daughter, which gives us time together, spend daughter and father's relationship, and she handles our Game Changer. And I got to tell you a quick story is when we won in the bottom of the 10th inning at the state finals, she was doing Game Changer, and it was 1-1.
Right.
And we got our first guy on, and she forgot to finalize. She didn't finalize. She was celebrating. So we had people. I was on 81 already coming back to Poquoson, saying, we don't know what happened to the game.
Right.
My daughter didn't close out the game, which showed us walking off with a 2-1 score. So.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's the last year that I helped Roland, it was 2017, and Game Changer was just coming on, and so somebody sent me a text and said, Rags, with the final 3 outs, are you going to do Facebook Live? And I was like, no, I'm doing Game Changer. Somebody else is going to have to do Facebook Live, but I know that you have to close out and make it finalized. People that are following it, it's like a cliffhanger. You leave them hanging.
I'm telling you, me and Ronnie Bradshaw we took a van for equipment, and about an hour out, people are saying, hey, what happened to the Game Changer? And so I'm on 81. I'm telling Ronnie, I said, you need to close this thing out so people can see how it all ended.
Right.
But it was just a beautiful experience. Hopefully these kids will always remember what the game taught them this season. Right. To me, there's a whole lot of things more important than baseball. So the wins and losses, state championships, that's great and all, but it's the camaraderie, because I'm a military guy, like I said, you got brothers for life, and these kids got to experience something that not too many kids get to experience, and I'm blessed that they had this opportunity. So.
Yeah, and you talk about you being a believer, and then I know that with I graduated from Western Branch in '94, my brother '91. You said that you graduated TAB '92, but definitely there being for the student athletes nowadays that they can. Yes, everybody wants to win, but that you can be a mentor and have these student athletes win at the game of life.
Yeah, I'm not, I told my kids, I'm not a participation trophy coach.
Right.
I'm not a participation coach. You're going to earn what you get. you know, and I'm with that way with my kids at home. And, you know, it's going and getting that last thing with this group of kids was just unbelievable. You know, it's amazing. And I hope they'll always remember this. And you know, like you just said about relationships, I've been to weddings for kids that graduated 10 years ago, and they invite me to their wedding, and they say, Coach, you know, I couldn't stand you back then, you know, because you're always a jerk to us. But I appreciate what you taught me now, you know, now that they've grown up. And that's why we do this. That's why we coach. We don't coach for the trophies. Right. You know, if you do, you're probably not in the wrong business. But it's about the relationships, you know, and seeing these kids grow and mature and become young. I have a saying on my Poquoson letterhead: molding men through the game of baseball. And I think that's what we try to do here at Poquoson.
Right. Well, hey, Coach, appreciate your time. And, you know, so with graduating the seniors there on the field, what's the 25 season looking like here for Poquoson?
Well, you know, that's a question I've been getting a lot lately, you know, because, you know, I'm like, well, I'm still not 50. I'm only about 50% sure that I just won this thing, you know, because, you know, it hadn't sunk in all the way. But yes, we did graduate 8 seniors. There's 3 spots that I got to fix, and me and my coaching staff has already started working that, you know, here.
Yeah.
So I think we're still going to be very competitive. You know, like I'm not losing a whole lot of true starters.
Right.
I'm only losing, you know, two starters really. So we're going to be in contention, hopefully, if everybody stays healthy, like I said, in football or whatever they're going to be doing till now to February. Right. But yeah, we're going to have a core group of kids. I mean, and plus our JV system, we started JV here in 8th grade. So that's just an added benefit for our kids down the road because they're in the program for 5 years now instead of just 4. So, like I said, man, we're just blessed to be. We just have we have a constant pool of kids, you know, and it's just, and you know, it ain't the coach. You know, coaches can say, "Yeah, I'm the coach." You're not out there on the field, you know. You can't hit the ball for that guy. Or make that steal to second, you know. All I was fortunate. All I did this year, Rags, I managed the program. Right. You know, I spent more time on computer and dealing with other things outside of the game.
Right.
But these kids are juniors, seniors, sophomores. They know how to play the game. Yeah. All I had to do was hit the play button. You know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just being upfront, honest, and you know, just blessed, Rags.
Yeah. Well, that's great, and look forward to. You know, I know that the last couple years after New Year's, I've you know, ended up having some area high school baseball coaches here to come on here for, you know, to kind of talk about the upcoming season and preview.
Right.
So look forward to having you on there, you know, but definitely had to get you on here with the success here of this year's team and your first season, not with the program, but definitely first season with being the head coach.
Yep. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your time, and you know, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again. You know, that's the ultimate goal. But I really appreciate you taking time and you know, letting the peninsula get a little action in it. You know, but yeah, again, thank you for your time.
Sure thing. And all right, fans. So that was Coach Craig Zimmerman here to share his story and just phone call. You know, they're on the softball field to get you started here with JV. So have a good rest of the summer and talk to you later.
All right. Appreciate it. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye. So